Welcome to the Chronicles of Lost Relations. Silence envelopes the space. Excessively silent. The sort of stillness that settles in after countless years of clamor, disorder, and joy have etched their marks upon the surfaces. Kathy is currently out shopping. She claims it's merely for groceries, but knowing her, she'll likely return with something for the house, or perhaps even a little something for me. She consistently demonstrates such consideration. After 24 years of marriage, we're just a month away from celebrating our milestone 25th anniversary. 25 years. That realization strikes me more profoundly than I anticipated. It seems like only yesterday that I was nervously toying with a ring in my pocket, contemplating how to pop the question without embarrassing myself completely. And here we find ourselves, 2 children all grown up and moved on. The house now seems to stretch out, its dimensions expanding in a way that feels unfamiliar. Jack and Emily have both embarked on their college journeys. Jack is wrapping up his final year of high school. Emily has just embarked on her sophomore year. It feels odd to be without their presence. The residence once resonated with vibrant energy. Jack cranked up the music in his room, while Emily and Kathy engaged in a heated debate over curfews, and the steady flow of their friends coming and going created a lively atmosphere. These days, it's primarily Kathy and me, and when she's away, it's solely me left here. It was time to rise from the comfort of my bed. Kathy would likely chuckle if she caught sight of me now, sprawled out like a retiree when it's hardly even mid-morning. I extended my hand toward the bottle of vitamins resting on my nightstand, removed the cap, and let one tumble into my palm. It didn't find its way into my hand. The tiny, circular pill ricocheted off the table's edge, struck the floor, and inevitably rolled right beneath the bed. With a heavy sigh, I whispered some choice words to myself and knelt down to pick it up. It was more shadowy beneath than I had anticipated, accompanied by a subtle scent of dust that had eluded my senses until now. I reached out, my fingers grazing over forgotten fragments of lint and a worn sock that likely belonged to Jack before he headed off to college. Then my fingers grasped something different, slender, crinkled, and distinctly incongruous. I extracted it and gazed at it for a moment, my stomach dropping as the realization of what it was set in. A sheath for protection. For a brief instant, my thoughts faded away. I found myself seated on the floor, cradling the object in my hand as if it were an otherworldly relic. Initially, I was engulfed in a haze of uncertainty. Who on earth? No one has visited this place. Absolutely no visitors, no gatherings, nothing at all. For the past 3 months, it's been just Kathy and me in this house. Suddenly, an idea struck me, causing a tightness in my chest. After Emily's arrival, I underwent a vasectomy. We concluded that 2 children were sufficient, and I proceeded without hesitation. What could possibly explain a condom wrapper being found under our bed? That's when it slinked in, the notion I wished to dismiss, but found impossible to ignore. Kathy is being unfaithful to me. Frustration surged within me, intense and piercing, yet I stifled it. What was I planning to do? Confront Kathy the instant she arrived home, waving a condom wrapper as if it were a smoking gun? That wouldn't lead me to any destination. Would she really refuse to acknowledge it? Or even worse, twist it back on me? No, I required something far more substantial than this insubstantial piece of plastic to face her. I rose from my slumber, donned a pair of jeans and a shirt, and seized my keys. The house now felt stifling, each corner brimming with suspicion. I sought clarity, and I was certain of the person to confide in. Davy Jones. No, not the cinematic pirate, but the real Davy Jones, my old companion and an exceptional private investigator. He earned that nickname during his time in the Navy, and it remained with him even after he traded the sea for the streets. He was the one person who could help me uncover the truth. As I entered his office, Davy lounged in his chair, feet propped on the desk, casually sipping coffee from a worn mug. He lifted his gaze, flashed a grin, and rose to welcome me with a confident handshake. "Ah, look who it is, Ben Miller," he remarked, gesturing for me to take a seat. "What brings you here today?" For a brief moment, I faltered, the words caught in my throat, Yet ultimately, I revealed everything to him. The condom wrapper, the doubts creeping in, the persistent unease in my stomach that refused to fade. Davy absorbed the words, his expression solemn, occasionally nodding in acknowledgement but remaining silent throughout. Upon completing my task, he reclined in his chair, his fingers brushing against the graying stubble adorning his chin. "Sure thing, Ben. Just give me a week, and I'll see what I can uncover. However, before we embark on this journey, I urge you to consider something carefully. If this aligns with your expectations, readiness is essential. Consult with a legal professional. Gain an understanding of what you're observing, both financially and in other aspects, if this concludes in a certain way." The idea unsettled me, yet I recognized the truth in his words. "Indeed," I responded softly, "I will take care of that." Davy rose and placed a hand on my shoulder with a firm pat. "I assure you, Ben, we will uncover the truth behind this." I acknowledged him with a nod, expressed my gratitude, and exited his office, the wrapper still smoldering in my pocket. 2 hours later, I found myself in Butch Reed's office, the man himself reclining in his chair, his sharp gaze examining me like a hawk assessing its target. He earned the title of the finest divorce attorney in the area for a reason. The man was a predator, straightforward and undeniable. He was the one who could deliver the unvarnished reality. After presenting my circumstances, I observed as Butch perused a legal pad, making notes. At last, he raised his gaze and remarked, "Ben, if this unfolds as you anticipate, you might be facing a loss of 50%. Everything from assets to savings, including the house. California operates under a system of community property. It's an even division, regardless of the circumstances. Half of all that I had strived for. All that Kathy and I had created together. It hit me hard, and though the pain was sharp, I was certain of one thing. I might sacrifice so much, my time, my resources, my home, but remaining in a union with someone unfaithful is simply not an option for me." Butch appeared to sense my unspoken thoughts as he leaned in closer, his voice dropping to a whisper. "If you truly intend to pursue this, Ben, I have some guidance for you. Maintain a low profile and behave as usual. Ensure she has no cause to think you're aware of her intentions. If she senses something is amiss, she'll seek legal counsel as well, and that will complicate matters significantly." I acknowledged, sensing the gravity of his words. "I will give it my all," I declared. As I exited his office, I felt a profound exhaustion settle in my mind, yet a strong resolve took root within me. I had to maintain my composure, regardless of the turmoil brewing within me. Upon arriving home, I found Kathy in the kitchen, diligently chopping vegetables for dinner. As I entered, she glanced up and offered a warm smile. Her face was a portrait of normalcy. My heart constricted, yet I compelled myself to return the smile. "Tomorrow, I have a business trip," I mentioned nonchalantly, resting against the counter. "I will be unavailable for the whole week." That evening, Kathy nestled into bed next to me, her hand gently grazing my arm. Her warmth enveloped me as she drew nearer, her intentions unmistakable. "Come on," she whispered gently, her voice imbued with that unmistakable cadence. Yet, I found myself unable to do so. "I'm weary," I murmured, my tone dull and lifeless. She took a brief moment to collect her thoughts, then exhaled softly, turning to face the opposite side of the bed. I reclined in the shadows, gazing at the ceiling, my mind swirling with thoughts. Was I erring in my judgment? What if the condom wrapper didn't belong to her? What if it belonged to Jack? He had spent a few nights in our room before departing for college, as his was undergoing a fresh coat of paint. Might it have slipped from his pocket? Perhaps I was merely clutching at fleeting hopes, attempting to persuade myself that the reality before me was not as it seemed. Yet, what if it turned out to be precisely what I dreaded? What if Kathy was being unfaithful to me? The inquiries burrowed into my mind, unraveling the fabric of my determination. Ultimately, I realized there was no turning back at this point. I was determined to follow this path, regardless of the destination. The following morning, I rose early, gathered a small bag, and arranged for a cab. Kathy lay undisturbed as I gathered my belongings and exited the house, her gentle breaths punctuating the stillness as I quietly shut the door behind me. The journey to the edge of town unfolded quietly, as the urban landscape gradually transitioned into expansive roads and sporadic structures. The motel was just as ordinary as I had anticipated. Inexpensive, sufficiently tidy, and discreet. Exactly what I was looking for. I arrived, placed my bag on the bed, and took a seat, gazing at the worn wallpaper while time seemed to drag on endlessly. It was nearly dusk when my phone buzzed. It was Davy. "Ben," he said, his voice steady yet tinged with a hint of urgency. "Kathy has just departed from the house. She has arrived at a motel." My heart raced with sudden intensity. "Which one do you prefer?" He took a brief pause, then spoke. "Is it the same motel where you're staying?" I perched on the edge of the bed, my heart racing in my chest as the stillness in the room enveloped me like a heavy shroud. The image of Kathy in this motel lingered in my thoughts, igniting a fire within me. When Davy called again, his tone was steady yet firm. "She's just in the room beside yours, Ben," he murmured softly. "Hear me out. Avoid confronting her. This moment is neither suitable nor appropriate. Simply step out of the room, find another space, and take a moment to gather your thoughts." I understand the desire to avoid drama, yet I found myself unable to hold back. "No, Davy," I said, my voice tight with tension. "I must seek the answer. I need to hear it for myself." Davy sighed heavily, his frustration evident. "All right, just make sure to think things through." "Promise me, Ben," I whispered, my voice barely audible. I nodded in agreement and ended the call, the phone shaking in my grip. The minutes dragged endlessly, each second stretching into what felt like forever, until, out of nowhere, I caught the faint sound of voices filtering through the thin walls. Initially, the words eluded me. All I could discern was the sound of Kathy's voice mingling with that of a man, an intense, enigmatic resonance. Then, it became clearer. They were engaged in intimacy. Kathy was quite expressive in her actions, and what I heard next made my stomach churn. "I can't fathom why you continue to be with him," the man remarked, his tone laced with disdain. "The man is past his prime, lacking the ability to fulfill your needs, isn't he?" Kathy's voice followed, panting and imbued with an emotion that felt foreign to me now. "No, he can't," she said, her words slicing through me like a sharp knife. "You truly stand out among the rest I've encountered lately. He's just so old now." The man chuckled, a harsh, derisive noise. "So what keeps you by his side?" Her response arrived swiftly, with no pause for thought. "I require him to manage the bills. So please be quiet and continue excelling in your craft." I remained motionless on the edge of the bed, each muscle in my body taut, every breath a struggle. The sound from the adjacent room persisted, their laughter gnawing at me like a corrosive substance. I reached my breaking point. I rose to my feet, hands balled into fists, prepared to burst through the door and put an end to this torment. Just as I was about to move, the door to my room swung open, and Davy entered, his face set in a serious expression. He seized my arm with a strong grip, anchoring me where I stood. "Don't," he said, his voice low yet authoritative. "Not like this, let me go," I hissed, struggling to break free, but Davy's grip only tightened. "Pay attention, Ben," he stated, his voice firm and unyielding. "The window is ajar. My camera is capturing every moment, documenting everything, ensuring you have all the proof required. Charging in there at this moment will only land you in jail, and that will complicate your divorce significantly." I shot him a fierce look, my breath coming in quick bursts, my sight clouded by fury. "Text, I couldn't care less about the divorce," I growled. "I want to ensure they face the consequences." Davy moved in, his hold firm and resolute. "And you will," he asserted with conviction, "but not in this manner. Consider this, Ben. If you let it slip away now, you forfeit it all." For a brief instant, I fought against him, the fury surging within me, on the verge of overflowing. Yet Davy possessed a greater strength, and his words struck like a chilling blow to the cheek. Gradually, The struggle ebbed away, giving way to an all-consuming sorrow. I collapsed onto the bed, burying my face in my hands. I experienced a profound sense of despair, embarrassment, and helplessness. The woman I had cherished and relied on for more than 20 years was in the adjacent room, dismantling all that we had created together. After a prolonged quiet, I rose, my jaw clenched, my fists quivering with intensity. "I'll have my revenge," I declared, my voice calm and unwavering, even as each word seethed with intensity. "She may seize my possessions, but I will bring her downfall." It felt as though she shattered my marriage and my faith in others. Once Davy departed, I found myself alone in the shadowy motel room, my mind swirling with the whirlwind of events that had just unfolded. My body felt burdened, as if it were encumbered by countless weights. The strategy was straightforward: remain outside for 3 days while Davy monitored Kathy's movements. That was the understanding. Yet, as I sat there in solitude, fully aware of the unfolding events, it felt like an unbearable torment. When Davy called later that night, I found myself pacing the room, my fists tightening and loosening as I replayed her words in my mind endlessly. His voice on the other end of the line was steady and deliberate, as if he were making an effort to anchor me in the moment. According to Davy, she and the man departed from the motel. I have confirmed his identity. His name is Roger Smith. He works alongside her. For a brief moment, silence enveloped me, my throat feeling parched and constricted. Roger Smith. The name held no significance for me, yet the reality of her being with someone from her workplace struck a deeper chord than I had anticipated. All those late nights she insisted were dedicated to work, Davy continued, maintaining a straightforward tone. "I will continue to observe. For the time being, simply remain where we agreed. It's essential to ensure we have all the necessary elements in place before taking any action." I scarcely whispered a reply before ending the call. The subsequent hours were agonizing. With each tick of the clock, a vivid reminder of her actions and the company she kept unfolded. The following day, Davy reached out once more. His updates were brief and precise, yet every word struck with the force of a blow to the stomach. She has been visiting Roger at his home. It follows the same routine, gathering after hours, lingering longer than necessary. I have sufficient footage to build a strong argument. I remained silent, my fingers clutching the phone with intensity. "And she's been intimate with him daily," Davy said, his voice unwavering, though I could feel the uncertainty in his tone. "She's carrying it out at Roger's residence." Prior to returning home, I had a meeting with Butch and Davy in Butch's office. The air was thick with tension, the curtains tightly closed, and the space infused with a subtle aroma of leather and coffee. Butch reclined in his chair, fingers interlaced, as Davy positioned himself by the window, arms folded across his chest. "We're adhering to the plan," Butch stated, his tone resolute and straightforward. "Ben, head back home, stay calm, and make sure she doesn't catch on." The evidence that Davy has collected is certainly substantial. However, the more strategically we approach this, the more compelling your argument will become. Davy acknowledged with a nod of agreement. "It's essential for you to behave as if everything is just fine, Ben. Avoid conflicts, maintain composure. Allow her to believe that all is well. In the meantime, I will continue to monitor her actions, just in case she attempts to do something unexpected." I took a deep breath, feeling the tension in my gut intensify. "I comprehend," I replied, my tone unwavering even as turmoil raged within me. "I will take care of it." Butch leaned in, his gaze intense. "Excellent. Keep in mind, if you let your emotions take over, you forfeit your advantage. Remember that with every moment you spend in that house." Taking a moment to gather my thoughts, I gave a subtle nod. We went over the details one final time before my departure. The burden of what lay ahead felt overwhelming, yet I was determined to persevere. Upon my arrival, Kathy was in the kitchen, her expression brightening at the sight of me. "You're back," she exclaimed with a bright smile, stepping closer as if to embrace me. I took a step back, lifting my hand. "Hold on," I mentioned swiftly. I believe I may have come into contact with COVID-19. Someone at the office has tested positive, and I'm not feeling my best. I prefer to avoid the chance of making you unwell." Her expression transformed into one of worry. "Alas, are you all right? Are you experiencing any symptoms?" "Merely a touch of discomfort in the throat." I deceived, maintaining a composed demeanor. "I believe it would be wise for me to remain in the guest room for a few days just to ensure safety." Kathy nodded, her concerns appearing heartfelt. "Absolutely. Feel free to reach out if you require anything, be it tea, soup, or something else entirely. I will look after you." I nodded, managing a faint smile. "Thank you. I will take care of it." After a brief pause, she inquired, "Do you believe we ought to call off the anniversary party? It's just a matter of weeks now." I tilted my head slightly, maintaining a calm demeanor. "Absolutely not necessary. I'll be all right in a few days. During this period of solitude, I will dedicate my time to crafting the plans for the anniversary festivities." Her expression relaxed, and a smile graced her lips. "How kind of you." I nodded once more, maintaining my poise. Internally, I was far from serene. The phone vibrated on the nightstand, shattering the stillness of the guest room. I picked it up, fully aware it was Davy. Without any introduction, he stated that she had left the office during lunch. She finds herself at Roger's house once more. Consistent pattern. My jaw tightened, yet I remained silent, allowing him to proceed. "Davy has added the videos and pictures I sent you. Everything should be in your inbox." I gazed at the phone for a brief moment before finally deciding to open the email. Before her lay the unmistakable evidence of her treachery. Kathy entered Roger's house. The two of them intertwined in ways that stirred my imagination in directions I preferred to avoid. For a few moments, I remained still, observing quietly as a wave of nausea surged within me. My grip on the phone grew firmer, the frustration bubbling quietly just out of sight. At last, I shattered the stillness. "If I weren't her husband," I remarked, my tone icy and indifferent, "I might actually find these videos enjoyable. What about now?" She truly disgusts me. Davy hesitated for a moment before he continued speaking. His tone was deliberate. "I understand this is challenging, Ben, but it's just a matter of time at this point. 7 days in isolation stretched on endlessly, yet I understood the importance of adhering to the plan." Kathy remained blissfully unaware, completely absorbed in her own little universe, oblivious to any underlying truths. As the moment approached for me to emerge from solitude, I stepped forward with all the poise I could gather. I compelled myself to return to her side, to pretend that all was as it should be. She was filled with anticipation, likely wishing for a return to the way things once were. Yet, when she attempted to draw me near, I resisted. "I still feel weak," I said, my voice unwavering despite the turmoil within me. "I'm not really feeling like doing anything tonight." Her brow furrowed, a true sense of worry etched across her face. "It seems you've been unwell, Ben. It's important to relax and not stress too much." "I will," I replied, though I must admit I'm not feeling my best. The following day, I planned to undergo a comprehensive STD screening. I had to uncover the reality to ensure I wasn't stepping into chaos. The clinic operated with impressive speed and efficiency, and I made an effort to avoid dwelling on the potential outcomes of the results. Yet, I found myself compelled to uncover the truth. Upon my return home, I began the process of sending out invitations for the anniversary celebration. Relatives, companions, anyone who came to mind. The celebration was in full swing, and I was determined to ensure everything unfolded seamlessly. On that afternoon, the phone chimed. My children reached out to assure me they would be present for the celebration. A brief spark of warmth ignited within me at the sound of their voices, yet it quickly faded away. Later, Kathy approached me, her demeanor gentler than I had seen before. "I love you, Ben," she said, her voice filled with genuine emotion. "Having you as my partner fills me with joy." I offered her a faint, hollow smile. The mask securely fitted. "I understand, dear." After a week, the long-anticipated day had finally come. The commemoration of the anniversary. Everything was in place. The residence buzzed with a crowd of individuals. Their voices resonated through the spaces, laughter bouncing off the surfaces. People surrounded me with warm congratulations, expressing how fortunate I was and reflecting on the beauty of the years that had passed. Kathy was luminous, as always, shining with that bright, almost naive smile she consistently wore in front of guests. Naturally, she had extended invitations to her colleagues from the office. Roger was present as well, accompanied by his wife. I found it impossible to ignore the way they shared glances, how Kathy seemed almost attached to me while he lingered close by, feigning interest in a conversation with another person. No one from my office was invited. I had the option, but I prefer their absence. Not while this performance was unfolding. Kathy thought it strange that no one from my workplace was present, but I had a swift response ready. They're currently engaged in a crucial meeting, I stated, my tone steady, ensuring she had no cause for skepticism. It wasn't precisely untrue. It was merely a small spark of creativity, yet I felt no need for anyone from my office to be present. Kathy's parents came shortly after, offering their congratulations and enveloping us in warm, heartfelt words. I compelled myself to wear a smile and express my gratitude, yet within I felt far from joyful. Unbeknownst to them, the reality remained hidden. They were unaware of the knowledge I possessed. Kathy, for her part, clung to me all evening, her arm wrapped around mine, her smile unwavering as she welcomed everyone with that same rehearsed excitement. She was so focused on ensuring that everyone noticed the flawless facade, the ideal image we projected, but all I could ponder was how long I could maintain the charade. The evening buzzed with energy as guests mingled, laughter filled the air, and congratulations flowed freely. It felt nearly overwhelming, almost idyllic. And still, I had to remind myself that this was merely the tranquility preceding the tempest. At that moment, Davy and Butch made their entrance. I had been anticipating this moment, the moment when everything would ultimately unravel. Weeks were dedicated to meticulously arranging every detail. Now, it was time to bring the vision to life. I requested that Kathy release my hand, her grip a persistent reminder of all I had faced. She offered no questions, merely smiled, and carried on welcoming our guests, completely oblivious to what lay ahead. I approached the enormous screen we had set up for the event, and as I positioned myself before it, the lights began to fade. In an instant, I found myself in plain sight for all to see. I took hold of the microphone, my heart racing, yet I persevered. I appreciate everyone's presence tonight, I stated, my voice unwavering even as turmoil swirled within me. Each person here holds great significance for both me and Kathy. The audience whispered, agreeing, beaming. I have shared my life with Kathy for 24 years and 6 months, I continued. Kathy attempted to slip in, her voice soft yet filled with urgency. No, it spans 25 years. I offered a subtle, understanding smile and turned my gaze towards her. Let me clarify, dear. Then I glanced at Davy, who was cradling the large, meticulously wrapped portrait-sized gift. Davy, I called out, kindly present the gift to my wife. With determination, Davy approached the stage, the gift carefully cradled in his hands. Kathy, her smile unwavering, approached him, positioning herself beside her parents. She remained unaware of the impending events. As her father assisted her in unwrapping the gift, I sensed the mounting tension in the air. Each moment stretched on endlessly. The astonishment etched on Kathy's face when the image materialized was precisely what I anticipated, yet it did little to alleviate the discomfort of witnessing it. Kathy was atop Roger, engaged in an intimate moment with him. She let out a scream, her voice cutting through the tension in the room, and her father's response was exactly what I had expected. Seething, irate. Ben, what does this signify? Text, this is an incredibly twisted joke, he exclaimed, his voice filled with fury, nearly overpowering the astonishment that washed over me. I stole a look at my father-in-law, striving to maintain a steady tone even as fury simmered within me. This is serious. That image serves as an enhanced snapshot of the video I'm about to present. The image marked just the start, and I was ready for it. Davy approached the controls, and the sound of buttons clicking reached my ears just before the video illuminated the massive screen. Kathy perched above Roger, her words from the video resonating throughout the space. Her voice was nearly unrecognizable. "I'm holding on to him solely to manage the expenses." The weight of those words struck me like a blow to the stomach, yet I had encountered them previously, so this time it barely stung. The ensuing silence was dense, almost stifling. Every gaze in the room was fixed upon me, yet I stood my ground. A figure in a dark suit emerged unexpectedly, his composed demeanor enhancing the dreamlike quality of the moment. He advanced with determination, avoiding a look at Kathy, whose expression remained contorted in disbelief. He approached her with purpose, his movements measured, and presented the manila envelope, accompanied by a single, straightforward sentence. "Mrs. Miller, the documents have been delivered to you." Kathy paused, her hand instinctively moving toward the envelope, yet she refrained from opening it. Her gaze flickered between the man and me, a tempest of confusion and anger etched across her features. She parted her lips to utter a sound, yet the words became trapped in her throat. Without a moment's pause, the man pivoted, striding past her toward Roger, who stood there stiffly, his face betraying a blend of astonishment and remorse. The man in the black suit extended another envelope, his voice unwavering as he stated, "Mr. Smith, you have been served." Roger's eyes grew wide as he accepted the envelope, casting a nervous glance at Kathy, who remained lost in thought, trying to comprehend the situation. Yet, just as he was about to speak, the man continued on his way, as though this were a routine he had performed countless times. Subsequently, the man approached the CEO. The space felt constricted as the man drew near, his footsteps reverberating against the walls. He presented the CEO with his envelope, the same phrases escaping his mouth. "Mr. Thompson, the documents have been delivered to you." The CEO, a figure I had once held in high regard, accepted the envelope with a deep furrow in his brow, his complexion draining as he grappled with the unfolding circumstances. "What is this all about?" he inquired, his voice trembling ever so slightly. However, the man remained silent, pivoting away and leaving the room with the same swiftness as his arrival. "Mr. Thompson," I started, meeting the CEO's gaze, my words measured and intentional. "This is a legal action regarding the failure to uphold the company's ethical standards. Your employees were out on lunch, heading home to engage in some questionable activities. The atmosphere was thick with silence, as each person grappled with the unfolding events. Thompson's expression contorted with a mix of bewilderment and fury, yet it held no significance for me. He had also contributed to this treachery. I looked at Roger, the man who had not just broken my trust, but also dismantled my marriage. "Mr. Smith, you are hereby notified of the claims against you for alienation of affection and the disruption of my marriage." The words reverberated through the space, their impact sharp and undeniable. However, my attention turned to Kathy. I took a deep breath, steeling myself against any uncertainty. She was the one who caused me the deepest pain, the individual who opted for this course and shattered all that we had created. "And Kathy, you've just received the papers for your divorce." Her eyes widened and her lips quivered. Yet, I had more to say. I needed to clarify this point. I needed to help her see. I mentioned earlier that we have been married for 24 years and 6 months. And indeed, that's accurate. But the reality is, our union ended the moment you chose to be with him. The words had a sharp, acrid flavor, but they were the reality, and I wasn't going to soften it. Our investigations reveal that it began 6 months ago. I noticed the brief flash of guilt and anger in her eyes, yet it didn't matter to me. She had made her decision, and now it was my moment to decide. "Your reasons are irrelevant to me," I declared, my tone sharpening, the weight of my words echoing in the space around us. "I prefer to remain uninformed. Kindly leave my home." In that moment, a realization settled within me. as if a missing piece had finally found its home. The end had come. The days that came after that moment seemed to stretch on indefinitely, as if time itself had decided to linger. Yet the turmoil persisted. Kathy's parents were unyielding, reaching out to me repeatedly, showing up at my door, attempting to persuade me against what they perceived as an impulsive choice. They implored me, beseeched me to pardon Kathy, to offer her yet another opportunity. "Ben, you seem to be missing the point. Kathy is experiencing a difficult time," her mother insisted. Her eyes brimmed with worry. "Your time together has been extensive. This is something you can overcome." Her father, typically reserved, took a more straightforward stance. "One cannot simply discard 24 years of experience. Consider the importance of family. Reflect on all that you've created as a team." Yet I remained steadfast. I had reached my conclusion, and there was no turning back. The treachery had pierced through the heart. This was a point of no return. Their pleas and well-intentioned advice were unnecessary for me. I had offered Kathy ample opportunities to be truthful with me, yet she opted to lie and mislead. The end had come, yet Kathy persevered. As if the reality of all we had endured wasn't sufficient, she countered with an unfamiliar, peculiar justification. During the hearing, her eyes brimmed with tears as she gazed at me, her expression one of desperation. "Ben, please," she began. Her voice trembled. "I've been experiencing quite a bit lately. I experience a hormone imbalance, which is why I sought increased intimacy. Your inability to provide that for me left me in disbelief, and I found it hard to accept what I was hearing." Was this really her justification after all that had happened? I glanced at Butch, my attorney, and noticed the doubt etched on his features. He responded promptly. "Ms. Miller, you have not communicated this hormone imbalance issue to my client. Indeed, there are no medical records or test reports from a doctor to support your assertion." Kathy recoiled at Butch's words. Her gaze flickered downward, unmistakably surprised. The judge, previously silent, leaned in with a serious expression, his demeanor commanding attention. "Ms. Miller, if there was any medical concern, why didn't you communicate it to your husband? What held you back from taking the essential actions to confront him, particularly given the significant impact it was having on your marriage?" Kathy held her tongue for a moment, and I could sense the frustration simmering within her. The judge pressed on, not allowing her a moment to gather her thoughts, exuding a sense of irrevocable authority. "If there was a genuine concern, it would have been best to discuss it with your husband. At this moment, we uncover a lack of significant evidence. The court determines that there are no valid reasons for reconciliation." The gravity of his words was palpable, yet it was precisely what I had anticipated. I had presented my argument, and I was aware that there was no way to retreat from this point. I had reached my limit in attempting to understand her behavior. After 7 months of deliberation, the judge ultimately reached a decision, granting the divorce. The divorce had inflicted its wounds, yet the repercussions continued to unfold. Amidst the swirling chaos, Jack and Emily, my children, found themselves right at the center of it all. They remained neutral, yet their quietude conveyed a powerful message. They felt a surge of anger towards Kathy for her actions, yet their frustration also extended to me for the way I revealed the truth about her. I found it hard to hold them accountable. I laid everything bare, dismantled the life they were accustomed to, and while I believed my actions were warranted, I recognized that my approach had caused them pain. They ceased all communication with us both. Though it caused me great sorrow, I understood it was their method of coping with the treachery. I maintained my distance, allowing them the room they needed to recover. It was quite a challenge. The uncertainty of my position with them created an emptiness that nothing could seem to satisfy. Yet, I had made my decisions, and now I must face the outcomes. Monetarily, circumstances had shifted as well. My assets were cut in half following the divorce settlement. All that I had strived for split right in two. Though it pained me to see all I had gathered over the years fade away, I found it impossible to feel regret. Kathy had taken her portion, yet my dignity, my self-respect, remained firmly in my possession. I had preserved those as they were. Roger was struggling just as much. He found himself entrenched in a personal struggle, seeking to end his marriage with his wife. I was aware that she had brought Butch on board to represent her, and there was no chance he would emerge from that situation unscathed. The man may have contributed to the unraveling of my marriage, yet his own was crumbling as well. And it was just a question of time before the repercussions caught up with him too. The CEO, conversely, desired for this entire situation to vanish. He had his own priorities to safeguard, and the public uproar was detrimental to his enterprise. It didn't take long for him to reach out, setting up a clandestine meeting. The proposal was straightforward: $1 million in exchange for my withdrawal of the case. They sought tranquility, resolution, and I held the answer to that. I had already ended my marriage with Kathy, and I had no desire for further retribution. I had come to terms with the choice, and if this money could bring an end to the turmoil and provide me with a financial safety net as I embarked on this new journey, then I would accept it. I decided to withdraw the case. I still carry the $1 million with me, a testament to the agreement I forged to bring it all to a close. 3 years later, I find myself on the porch of my quaint farmhouse, observing the sun as it descends beyond the horizon, the hues merging in the sky in a manner that only the rural landscape can provide. The air is invigorating, the surroundings seem to hush, and it's the tranquility I've longed for throughout the years. In the comforting presence of my 2 German shepherds, Max and Duke, I find solace. Their unwavering loyalty and protective nature are evident in their watchful eyes, always vigilant, ensuring that I am safe from any harm that may come my way. They transcend the role of mere pets. They are my companions, my unwavering reminder that solitude is not my only reality. The farm is modest, lacking in grandeur, yet it belongs to me. Over the last year, I've immersed myself in the daily rhythms of life, tending to the chickens, cultivating the soil, mending fences, and discovering joy in the uncomplicated, cyclical activities that fill each day. It's a distinct existence compared to the one I departed from, yet it's the existence I required. Here, I've discovered a sense of purpose that had eluded me for far too long, something that feels truly grounding. There exists a cadence within it all. The creatures, the earth, the cycles of the year. I no longer feel the need to hurry. Time seems to stretch in this place, and I've come to cherish each fleeting moment. It's quite astonishing that my children have begun to visit once more. Jack and Emily, the 2 individuals I believed I had lost for all time, have returned. It has been a challenging journey, and there are still moments of discomfort, yet I can sense the barriers slowly crumbling between us. They've matured, carving out their own paths and facing their own challenges. Yet each visit resonates with a sense of advancement. We discuss the farm, life, and matters that no longer carry the weight they once did. I've decided to stop trying to fix anything. I'm always present for them, ready to lend a hand whenever they require my support. Regarding Kathy, it seems that she's currently residing with her parents. It seems she is in therapy, navigating the complexities of her experiences. I anticipated that things would be challenging for her. She's confronting her inner struggles, and I can't shake a slight feeling of compassion for her, despite all that has transpired. It's no longer my concern, yet it's challenging to fully disconnect from someone I once held dear. I hold no resentment about it. However, I'm not upset. I have released all of that. In this serene setting, I've discovered that clinging to anger merely binds you to what has already transpired. I have moved on from the past. I've moved forward, and for the first time in years, I genuinely feel joy. The morning greets me with the melodic chirping of birds, the gentle rustle of leaves in the breeze, and the sporadic barks of my dogs in pursuit of an unseen adventure. All that I require is right at my fingertips. Dear audience, we invite you to share your insights in the comments section below. Remember to like, share, and subscribe to stay connected.